Well, it's the morning after the night before, isn't it? We've just had yesterday the final results from the general election, which I don't think was one that anyone really expected. Everyone seems to have won, and everybody seems to have lost as well, which is a very confusing situation. Some parties that have lost 11-12% of their vote share have won. Some that have actually increased their vote share but lost some seats have lost. Yes, it's politics seems to be very confusing, or have a lot of very confused people involved in it. Well, Northwest Cambridgeshire, my constituency, it made a very clear choice. Sayesh Vara is back as MP. My apologies to the people who supported me and the UKIP vote in that constituency. It didn't go anywhere near as well as we expected. But thank you very much for all your efforts and for your support over the last few weeks and getting all the leafleting out, despite the fact that our friends in the post office didn't seem able to deliver all the leaflets for some very strange reason. It's going to be a very interesting few weeks and few months coming ahead. There is a lot to do. The people who seem to have gained the most, the Labour Party, have done so by an amazing trick of promising lots and lots of free things and free money, especially to the young, that someone else somewhere will pay for. We promise. Like they always have in the past. We've been very fortunate to escape getting Jeremy Corbyn into number 10. That would, in my view, have been an unmitigated disaster for this country. Having a very weakened Conservative Party in is also not good. UKIP vote seems to have split fairly evenly between the Conservatives and Labour. I can't quite understand Labour, but let's appreciate that apart from Liberal Democrats, all the major parties were actually promising to deliver on Brexit anyway. So we should get what we voted for last year. But what sort of Brexit are we going to get? There's a lot of talk going around about soft Brexit as against hard Brexit. Let's be honest about this. Soft Brexit means only leaving a little bit the European Union. Can we afford that? I think the answer to that is no, we can't. There is no such thing as leaving a little bit. We're either in or we're out. I hate to use Brexit means Brexit, but if you leave, you leave. In order to effectively leave the European Union, we have to leave the single market and the customs union. Not to do so means that all the basic rules and regulations, the bureaucracy that is stifling innovation and business across the entire EU will still be in place in the UK. It's one of the key reasons for getting out. There were three, realistically: immigration, democracy, and trade. We cannot trade effectively with the world if we're within the single market, within the customs union, because we will still have the common external tariff, and although we can trade within Europe, we then cannot effectively trade with the rest of the world. And turning your back on 80% of the globe seems to be crazy. Now, we need to make sure that the people who are working on Brexit are working on the right deal. Will there be a deal? Well, I think that's a very good question. The Europeans will certainly feel now, with a weakened Conservative Party in government, that they can press and press very hard to make sure we get the worst possible deal. The best deal, in my view, is to leave the EU cold. Leave it immediately. Leave it by revoking the 1972 European Act and go out. And then say, right, we're out. What's the trade deal you're going to offer us? Because at that moment, we stop paying money in. We have no liabilities within Europe. In fact, Europe has a lot of liabilities to us. But you will have every single manufacturer of product within the EU screaming to their government, get us a deal with Britain. They cannot afford not to have a deal with us. We, on the other hand, have limited trade with the EU, and a reciprocal deal will be the best of both worlds for all of us. It will help out the EU, and their manufacturers. We very recently had the Spanish tourist minister screaming, we must get a good deal with Britain, we cannot afford not to have their tourists. You could say the same about BMW, Volkswagen, needing a deal with the UK in order to export all their cars here. French wine producers, farmers and everyone else. There is a very real reason why we should have good open trade with the EU. But it should be open trade, not linked to anything else. Mexico doesn't have anything on their trade deal with the EU. We don't either. No free movement, no interlinking of our tax. We need to get VAT back to purchase tax in the UK, so it's taxed as we want it and not under EU rules. Otherwise, we are not out. We're still in, and there will still be a huge cost. Even if that cost is not monetary, there will still be a huge cost to the UK, to the UK economy and the UK people. So that's our function now. Unfortunately, my apologies, we lost the election in North West Cambs, but UKIP has got a real function going forward to keep the narrative going, to keep pushing the government. Let's get money invested in the UK instead of in foreign aid. Let's make sure our services are delivered, and let's make absolutely certain we have the Brexit that we need in the UK to make us a global trading nation once again, not just limited to looking at our closest neighbours. Get it right, and then we'll move forward. Thank you.